in the bad old days, this time of year when like you started feeling Rosh Hashanah in the air and like thinking about like, this month of Jewish holidays and Yom Tovim, I would start getting fearful and even a little anxious about what's going to be and how I'm going to manage with all those temptations and all the junk food. And like a part of me would get like even excited about that, like, oh, there's all this junk coming around. And then a part of me would be very anxious about that, like, what's going to happen to my diet? Am I going to blow it? Am I going to gain weight again this year over the Yom Tovim? So this was like a time of year when that started, that like chatter started in my brain about what's going to be and how am I going to manage, and being fearful about, am I going to be able to control myself or not? So I want to dedicate this week's message to all those people who struggle with weight or healthy eating habits. And at a time like this, before Rosh Hashanah, before a big holiday, before a season of holidays, because for us it's like a whole month of holidays where there's like no routine and lots of vacation and lots of big meals and festive meals and lots of family get-togethers and lots of hosting and being a guest. And then there's a lot of temptations around with the food, and then it's like we start worrying like 2 weeks before, like, what's going to be, how am I going to manage, blah blah blah. And oh, like there's going to be, my grandmother's whatever apple cake, and how am I going to not eat it, or am I going to be able to have only one piece, and all kinds of things like that, right? Been there, done that. Well, this week's message is for you. I want to dedicate my message this week to people who struggle with these thoughts and fears, and try to help you. Maybe the tips that I give you today really can make the difference between gaining weight over the high holidays, or maintaining weight, or coming out feeling like, hey, I did a decent job, or just like, saying, oh no, now I have to really go on a diet because I gained those 2-3 kilos or whatever it is over the high holidays. So the first way not to blow your diet over Rosh Hashanah and all the Chagim that come after that is not to go on a diet. That's the honest truth. The best way to blow your diet is go on a diet. The best way not to blow your diet is don't go on a diet. Just think about eating healthy. Think about doing your best to eat healthy. Because what is a diet? Diet is die with a T at the end. Diet means I have this project, I have to lose weight because the doctor told me to, because I feel bad in my clothes, because blah, blah, blah. I don't like what I see in the mirror. Yeah, I'm worried about my health and I have to lose weight. And so I'm going to go on this project and like really deprive myself of all the things that I love, that everybody else is allowed to eat, and poor me, I'm not allowed. But like, I'm hoping when this project is over and I lose weight, I can like go back to what I was doing before, just with a little more control, right? We always talk about this. So let's change our mindset about that and talk about eating healthy. And we also have to talk about eating healthy in an environment that really promotes unhealthy eating habits, right? The fact of the matter is that the majority of the adult population today is either overweight, obese, or sick from the way they're eating, or both. So it's not working just to manage with what there is. So let's stop trying to diet. And actually, I would tell you that for the month of Tishrei, like for the month when there's so many holidays and such a lack of routine, maintaining weight is a wonderful goal. It's also a practical goal. It's actually doable. And also it takes off that pressure of having to lose weight, and then you don't blow it. So it stops that black and white thinking, like I'm a good girl or a bad girl. I'm on my diet or I'm not on my diet. And if I blew it, so what does it matter anyway? And then we get into what the heck syndrome. So let's just talk about doing our best to eat in a healthy manner, just like we should be doing all year over the holidays as well. So once we change our mindset about that and we stop thinking about a diet and start thinking just about doing our best to eat healthy over the course of the holidays and maintaining weight, because if you maintain weight, first of all, just remember, maintaining what we have now is much, much more important than the goal of losing weight, because gaining weight is much less healthy than if we maintain the weight, especially if you've lost weight and maybe you want to lose more, or you want to go into like the mode of losing weight. Actually maintaining and not gaining is a much, much more important goal than losing weight. So let's go for something that is actually doable and attainable, our goal of maintaining weight over the holidays, and then it takes a lot of the pressure off. The other thing I want to recommend is this. You see, our automatic brain or our unconscious brain is naturally wired to be hypersensitive and hyper vigilant and hyper focused on what can go wrong. Now, tens of thousands of years ago in the savannah, that really helped our survival because a lot could go wrong. Yeah, there was that tiger just around the corner that could eat us up. So we had to be hyper vigilant about the dangers. But in today's world, in today's modern world, where our life is not endangered every single moment, that hyper focus on what can go wrong actually is not something that is helpful to us. But what we can do to negate that, it is a natural thing to be worried about what's going to happen. Am I going to manage? How's it going to work? Am I going to fail? Those are natural fears, but we can overcome them with our conscious mind. Now, you see, our automatic brain or our subconscious mind, what it sees is what there is. So if we're constantly thinking and talking about failing, how are we going to manage? Giving into temptation, imagining all those, tempting and ultra delicious, ultra processed foods, and thinking about how are we going to manage to not eat them. And that's all we're thinking about is am I going to fail? Am I going to keep my diet? How am I going to not blow it? And we're actually sort of imagining ourselves already blowing the diet, then the chances of us doing that is much, much higher. So if those thoughts come up, just consciously imagine yourself eating healthy. Especially if you are abstaining, if you are in a program of recovery, you're abstaining from sugary, starchy, ultra processed foods, like you're doing a low carb way of eating, you're in some kind of food recovery or food health program, just imagine yourself eating healthy. Imagine yourself saying no thank you to all these junk foods and actually meaning it. And when you think about these foods, don't think about something delicious and a treat. Don't call them treats. Don't call them what they are, junk, right? Because if we regulate our brain to think about eating healthy and we focus more on what we will be doing, that we will be eating healthy, we will be succeeding, we will be managing, that is what is our reality. And that is the reality that our brain sees. It sees us eating healthy. It sees us actually doing that, making the right choices, doing the right things over the high holidays. And so that's what I definitely suggest. Every time you start thinking about what's going to be and how am I going to manage, imagine yourself managing and manage yourself a queen, a king at the Rosh Hashanah table and really eating the way that is aligned to your beliefs, your desire for yourself, your goals for yourself, and your values of health and well-being. That is the second thing I recommend that you do. And the third thing that I recommend that you do is plan ahead. Plan your menus. Plan how you're going to manage on the planned vacations, or if you're going to be hosting, or if you're going to be somebody's guests. How are you going to manage? Maybe if you don't eat sugar and flour, you need to call up the people who are hosting you and let them know. That's actually being considerate of them. Because, when we don't let them know and then we say we don't want them to bother, they bother anyway. I mean, they're hosting us, then they're bothering. So, of course, it's more considerate to let them know so that they can make the things that we can eat rather than I don't want to bother them and then we come and there's nothing to eat and we just don't eat anything. So definitely plan ahead. The other good thing about planning ahead is, first of all, also, as I said, in today's nutritional environment, which is so obesogenic, so against healthy eating, we have to plan ahead. Anybody who wants to eat healthy has to plan ahead, has to take food with them. Can't just say, oh, yeh beseder, like they say in Hebrew, it'll be okay, I'll somehow manage with what there is. Because a lot of times there isn't things that we can manage with. And then we end up making unhealthy choices because there is no choice. So it's always important that we bring with us healthy food choices and not just assume that everything's going to be okay. Like when you go traveling, for example, or things like that. And it's also really, really important to plan ahead. How am I going to manage? How am I going to make sure that I have healthy food around me? Plan the meals accordingly. Maybe make less desserts and more salads, right? Less options for desserts, or maybe one or two cakes, but lots of fruit options, and make healthy choice. We can also make healthy choices for our family. But the thing is that planning ahead, first of all, in actuality, it makes sure that things are much, much easier, that healthy eating is easier. But there's another thing about planning ahead that is good, is that when you know ahead of time how you're going to manage, not just if you're going to manage, but you even know how you're going to manage, because you know that when you go here you're going to take that, and for this meal you're going to make such and such and thing. What it does is it gives us peace of mind around food. Then suddenly we don't have to think about it anymore, and that saves our thought energy for really enjoying the holiday, the togetherness, the significance of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot, which is really why we're having these holidays, not like to, yes, gain weight or not gain weight. So it really makes us focus on the real, important things about the holiday. So planning ahead is two things. First of all, it just makes everything so much easier. Even though sometimes we don't feel like it and it's a little uncomfortable, actually it saves so much discomfort afterwards. So when we plan ahead, we're calm, but it also gives us that peace of mind and that quiet in our thoughts, so that really we can focus on the important things of the Chag. So these are the three things that you can do. And these three things actually can make the difference between, coming out of the Chagim, and the Yom Tovim, feeling like I did a not bad job. Or coming out with this like frantic, panicky feeling like, oh no, what do I do now? I have to go on a diet and I have to lose weight. And then here another month went by and I ate in the worst way possible for my health and for my well-being. So we don't want to come out of the holidays like that. We want to come out good. And here's my last note to you, is that, we are human. We say there is a God, there is Hashem, it's not me. So we are human, and if you do make a mistake, if it does happen that at some point you succumb to some temptation, or maybe you made a conscious decision to eat something that you don't usually eat, don't make a big deal out of it. Just like brush off the dust and keep moving forward. You didn't break anything. You weren't a bad girl, bad boy. There was no tragedy happened. You just brush off the dust and keep moving forward. That is the difference between the diet mentality and healthy eating as a way of life. Tell me what you think about it. Do you have any good ideas how to set up our mindset for success for Rosh Hashanah and the Yamim Noraim? Put it in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and follow me on Facebook. So see you next week. Bye-bye.